Okay, so welcome to our workshop for teachers. So on behalf of First Robotics BC, my name is Anna Golland, and we have this workshop put together specifically for teachers, how you can change how your students learn. And before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that we are, well, most of us are on the territorial, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples. So a bit of housekeeping, this session will focus specifically on resources for the classroom. As you know, it is being recorded, but it will be also available to you either through YouTube or on our website. There will be a time at the end of this workshop that we've allocated for Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can ask us then, or you can type them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen there. Also, the slides will be made available to everyone on the firstroboticsbc.org website under the Educators tab. And if you'd like to know more about competition programs, you can join us tomorrow where we have another launch workshop. It will be tomorrow, Saturday, August 29th at 11 a.m. And you can find information again on our website on how to join that workshop. So about our presenters, we have got Ian Koszelski from First Robotics competition. He does all sorts of things for First, and he's a wealth of resources and knows a lot of stuff, so you can ask him lots of questions. We'll also have Ushi Leslie with us, and she'll be speaking to us specifically about the First Lego League programs, and these are programs that cater to students in elementary and middle school. And we'll also have Christine Nichols who'll speak to us about First Tech Challenge, and those are high school programs. So on our agenda today, we'd like to introduce you briefly to First and a bit of what First BC does. And then we'd like to speak to you about the possible resources that are available to teachers through class packs, also outside of the classroom through First at Home, which can also be used in the classroom, and also Lego Education and what it can offer for elementary and middle school resources. Then afterwards, we'll talk a little bit about high school resources in the same way, class packs and curriculum and other resources available for teachers. And then we'll have our Q&A session. So without further ado, I'll leave you with Ian.
All right, so first we're gonna go a little bit over exactly what First Robotics is. I know some of you have been to events before or seen or talked to us about different things. But we'll start a video with a video just to give you a refresher on what we do.
First was founded in 1989 by Dean Kamen. As an inventor, he realizes that the way to have the biggest impact is to create a whole generation of new inventors through hands-on, engaging robotics challenges. First ignites passion in STEM for kids ages 6 through 18. There's 4 worldwide programs.
Once you get the challenge, you figure out your game plan.
You make a robot and you code on it.
Throughout each of our programs, teams embrace First core values.
Discovery. Innovation.
Impact.
Inclusion.
Teamwork.
Fun.
At face value, First is a robot competition, but at the end of the day, it's so much more than that.
We learn a lot about leadership, how to communicate with others, problem solving,
working together, helping other teams.
Our mentors teach us not just about STEM, but about life.
I think it's incredibly important for youth to see careers in science and engineering as a possibility for them.
First actually taught me that I'm capable of doing anything that I set my mind to.
There's nothing better than seeing your robot on the field playing for the first time. They're all there like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? And then when it works, it's the best feeling ever.
As a participant in the First program in high school, you get access to $80 million worth of scholarships.
There are scholarships for colleges, universities, as well as technical programs.
First really develops a pipeline where there's jobs, there's careers, there's opportunities for every one of these kids based on the skills and the experiences they develop in these programs.
In First, every student can go pro. It's a really cool way to step into your future.
I
I am first.
Yo soy first.
I am first.
I am first.
All right, so Scott, at least a good idea of what FIRST is and what we do as a organization. So FIRST Robotics British Columbia is the BC arm of the FIRST programs. So we run those programs across BC. And our aim is to promote the FIRST ethos and values through engaging robotics programs for students. We run from pre-K, which is the new discovery program, right up to grade 12 with FTC and FRC. So our charitable society seeks to support both competitive robotics programs and the in-class activities that encourage youth to develop an interest in STEM. And then students will have the opportunity to get involved in science and technology while also learning about teamwork, collaboration, and other soft skills to become a well-rounded contributor to society. And today we're going to be covering the FIRST class packs option, which are the specific in-class options that FIRST has developed. So class packs are purchasing options for schools wishing to implement STEM and robotics in the classroom through a project-based learning experience of FIRST programs. And they're all based on the competitive programs that were created by FIRST before. Competitions and festivals for these programs are hosted within the classroom or school. So that allows you to really start these programs at any time and run it at any time during the school year. They include a flexible curriculum with scope and sequence options to guidance for student evaluation. There is virtual professional development opportunities that run early this fall. All of those are done by FIRST headquarters. And they're a great way to get the teachers up to speed on what's been going on. And then we do have some specific COVID-related guidelines for running robotics in the classroom that come from FIRST headquarters. Just some basic things to add to all the social distancing that are already happening in the schools. And I will pass it along to Ushi to take us through the elementary and middle school resources.
All right. I hope my microphone is on. We have 3 divisions in FIRST LEGO League. One is called Discover. That's for the ages 4 to 6. Then we have Explore for ages 6 to 10. And then we have Challenge. It says here on the slide ages 9 to 16, and that is correct in most of the world, but in North America, it's 9 to 14, actually. In all 3 divisions, kids learn things about teamwork, about technical skills, about presenting their work. And we'll start out with the FIRST LEGO League Discover. I have an interesting video about that. So please, let's see the video.
Hi, I'm Lucy from the IET. We are the UK and Ireland delivery partners for FIRST LEGO League, and we want to say a massive welcome from wherever you are in the world to the FIRST LEGO League Discover Playmakers season. Now, we know that this season might be a little different from normal, but we know you're still going to have lots of fun. FIRST LEGO League Discover is an introductory STEM program for 4 to 6-year-olds that focuses on learning through playful experiences. It also develops key habits of learning, which are vital for further education. These kinds of habits are things like communication, teamwork, and problem solving, to name just a few. The Playmaker season is all about teaching children about healthy living through playful physical activity. The children will be asked to build and design an obstacle course for their local community that everybody can use. Discover is designed to be delivered in school by a class teacher to the whole class of children, who then work in smaller groups of 4. When you register, you will receive some Discover sets, a team meeting guide, some engineering notebooks, and some Discover More sets. You will also need to get some Steam Parks. Don't throw those. Each team of 4 will have a Discover set to use, and inside the Discover set is this season's Playmaker themed model, which is an obstacle course. Children will build this as an idea starting point using the build instruction cards. Also, there is a sturdy cardboard building mat, which is intended to give context to the children's builds and act as a meeting point for the team to work together. Additionally, there are 5 sets of 6 bricks, which children will use in the classroom during the 6 bricks warm-up activities. Your team meeting guide has 10 guided sessions to help you run the program in your school. Each session is laid out the same. It starts with a teaching tip and a guiding opening question, and then 3 tasks, which includes building time and time for children to share their ideas and thought process throughout the session. You've also got some learning outcomes at the bottom to help you keep the sessions on track. There's also information about your celebration event, which is the 10th session of the programme. This is where children have the opportunity to share their ideas, their learning journeys, and their final designs to lots of other people and have lots of fun. Every child will have an engineering notebook. This is where children can plan their designs. That might be in notes, drawings, or pictures, and they relate to every other session. You'll also need to get some steam parks. We recommend 1 between 2 groups of 4. These bricks will be used by children during their independent build times. There's some really fantastic bricks in here so children can be really creative with their designs. You can buy these from any LEGO education distributor. Every child receives a Discover More set. This is a take-home resource, and it contains 2 sets of 6 bricks to use with parents, which means the learning is brought from the classroom into the home. There are lots more resources available on your country's First Lego League website, and you can also visit firstlegoleague.org. We hope you have a fantastic season, and we can't wait to see what you discover. Have fun!
Thank you, video. So this was an introduction for the Discover. You can see again that for a class pack, which is for up to 30 students, you get a team meeting guide, you get engineering notebooks, the Discover More sets, the Discover sets. You also get access to the ThinkScape, the learning management system, which is online. And once you have registered a class pack or even a single team, you get access to that. And it has all the resources that are to be found on the general website, all nicely grouped for everything you probably will need. And a few extras like an online engineering notebook. In the team meeting guide, in all our 3 divisions in First Lego League, you have these team meeting guides, and there you can follow them exactly if you want to, or you can just use parts of them, or just use them as general ideas. That's just up to you. But it's meant so that it takes the effort of planning all these sessions away from you to a large part. And just like for the Discover class set, in the other 2 divisions, the team meeting guides are also laid out with estimated times and what materials you need and all kinds of interesting tips and ideas. If you go to the next slide, we can see what is involved cost-wise. And so for the class pack in Discover, if you have no equipment at all and you start out and you buy some steam parks and you buy the registration, then you have to look at something like $1,700 Canadian. In successive years, you only have the registration. The registration actually includes the Discover sets. So that would be about $650 per year. There's also professional development available for Discover at $250 US this time. Sorry, we haven't converted that. And it's available online, which is neat. You don't have to travel anywhere. There are several sessions available in September and in October, and it's a total of 6 hours. I think it's in 2 parts, or maybe it's 3 parts for 2 hours each, or two parts in 3 hours each. I can't quite remember. If you ever go to the regular website, firstinspires.org, and then go to community and educators, that's where you find all the detailed information about all these class packs and also about the professional development. Now we go on to the Explore program for ages 6 to 10. So as the kids get a little older, the programs get a little more involved. And in the challenge, they build a model out of Lego. Now, not Duplo, but Lego. They make a poster. During their final celebration, the teams of kids get reviewed by reviewers, not judged, but reviewed by friendly reviewers, but still people they don't necessarily know so well. And their challenge is to find more fun ways to move for everybody. Can you go to the next slide, please? And for their work, as I mentioned, they make a poster, but they also build a big Lego model. They use their Explore set, which is pictured at the bottom there. The Explore set has all kinds of Lego, yes, but it also has Lego to build one particular model, which needs to be part of their big model. Like the Lego in the box is way more than that, just the one model, but it's required that they build that model and integrate it into their big model, which shows their ways to move, their ideas to make people be active. And this model gets motorized and programmed. And for the motorization and programming, they use a WeDo set. That's pictured on the left. So this is a set that it's like the Steam Parks for Discover. It's something you need, but you can keep that year after year. And you can build a whole variety of small robots with that, all with just one motor, but with several sensors. And if you use a tablet, tablets work very well, or a laptop, the kids can program this. And it gives them a really, I think, really good introduction to programming. Again, the engineering notebook gives you all the details as much as you want to use this. And here's something about the cost. So this Explore program is actually available in 2 ways: as a class pack for 30 students, or even as a school pack for 144. On a per student basis, the school pack obviously is a little cheaper, but anyway, if you start with no equipment at all, your startup cost would be something like $4,000 for a class pack. And once you have your WeDos, the ongoing cost would be something like a little less than $800. For the school pack, of course, it's more. Professional development, again, is available. And it's actually a little longer. It's a 6-hour, no, it's not. It's a little longer. I forget. But anyway, sorry. I think it was actually 12 hours professional development for the Explorer program. Okay, let's go on to the next one. And that would be First Lego League Challenge. That used to be called just First Lego League, but you are probably all aware that First Lego League has been rebranded, and so now we call this First Lego League Challenge. In First Lego League Challenge, the kids build a robot with up to 4 motors and all kinds of sensors, and they compete with the robot on a specific table. If you go to the next slide, there's a picture of what the table would look like from the top without any mission models on them. So the class pack includes right, the class pack guide, the team meeting guide, just like for the other programs, engineering notebooks, challenge sets. The challenge set is the mat you see on that black table, plus a big box of Lego to build up to 15 or so models on the table. And the robot will have to start in one corner, in this little white corner in the bottom left, and it has 2.5 minutes time to complete various missions. So the team of kids has to decide which missions, because there won't be time enough to do all of them. So then they need to work together in a pretty big way and build a real robot that can run autonomously. And on top of that, they do what we call the innovation project. This year, again, it has to do with movement, and it's about finding more ways for people to be active. Again, you have a class pack, the team meeting guide for the teacher or coach. You have the robot game rule book, and then you also have engineering notebooks. Can you go on to the next slide, please? And for First Lego League Challenge, because you need a robot, that's your equipment that you need and keep year after year. You can use any of the Lego Mindstorms robots. Pictured here is the EV3, but if your school already has EV3s, then of course you don't need to buy more. You can also use the NXTs or the RCX models of the Mindstorms, whichever you have. You can use some of the one and some of the other as you wish. New this year is the Lego Spike Prime set, which has been developed specifically with FLL in mind. And it's meant to be a little easier to start up with for kids of First Lego League Challenge age. But it certainly doesn't mean you can't use your Mindstorms EV3. So it's your choice. The Lego Spike Prime is a little cheaper than the Lego Mindstorms. So if you start out with new equipment, maybe that would be the thing to buy. But if you already have some Mindstorms, by all means use them. The next slide, please. As for costs, again, here you can see that the Spike Prime is a little less costly, but you have to look at something like $5,000 Canadian if you start out with no equipment for the class pack. And then in ongoing years, it's something like $900 to keep going to. That's the cost for the team, the class pack registration, plus the challenge set. That would be the ongoing cost. And the professional development, again, is available, and it's actually 14 hours long. And in addition to the resources in the team meeting guide, there is also, there are forums that you can look at. Lego Education has resources, and there's lots of interaction also between coaches. Yes, and that's all I wanted to say for First Lego League, and I'll hand it over to Ian.
All right, now we'll go through some of the free resources that have been developed by First, basically in response to the COVID pandemic and everyone being at home. So they've created some new remote learning resources that are available online at the First Inspires website at the link you see at the bottom there. So there's a lot of free pre-K to grade 12 STEM activity ideas. A lot of them are based around coding, programming, and AI resources. And as you get into the older ages, they start doing more things with computer-aided design, and then there's quite a few things with robotic mechanics and electronic activities. A significant number of these were developed with partners of First, so companies like PTC and 3M, National Instruments, and kind of other partners like that have helped develop some of these challenges and free resources for at-home learning. So these can be used at home, or they can be additional resources to work with in class if you're just looking for more ideas on what things that you're already doing in the classroom. There's some other digital resources available. So the Virtual Robotics Toolkit is a virtual environment for First Lego League robots. And there's a link there when we post the slideshow on the website. So basically it's a virtual environment where the students will be able to have their robot as built in the Lego building program on the field and be able to program it as they would normally. So a great option for if you're not able to be in the classroom and physically working with EV3s. There's also a number of online EV3 tutorials that are available. Some video ones that are a great way to start if you're new to working with EV3s. And there's some more in-depth tutorials that are created by one of the FRC teams in Ontario that walks you through a more in-depth look at how to do advanced programming and that kind of thing available online. And in addition to those, Lego Education also creates a significant number of resources for their own products. So there's a lot of getting started guides for new people to working with EV3s or Spike Primes or any of the other Lego sets that they have that are a great resource just to get you moving. And there are additional lesson plan resources on their website as well. So if you were to purchase a class pack and it wasn't enough time to fill in, or you wanted to get some different challenges for some students that are a little bit ahead of the rest, Lego Education has some significant resources there to add to what you're already working with. And I'll pass it back off to Christine for the high school resources.
Okay, we'll start by talking about the First Tech Challenge Class Pack program. You'll hear us call it FTC as well as First Tech Challenge. So in the FTC program, the students will design, build, and program robots using Java apps on cell phones. And this is actually a really fun opportunity for the students to realize that They can actually do something with a cell phone other than Instagram and Snapchat. And so throughout the year, they will be looking at everything from engineering calculations, teamwork, inclusion, discovery. The robot is going to be building them as well as they are building a robot. Next slide. So the class pack, again, includes full access to ThinkScape learning management system for both teachers and students from September 2020 through September 21. The online lesson plans, you'll find the student activities there, their engineering notebooks, which is partly what can be used for evaluation at the end of the course. The FTC class pack actually includes 180 hours of curriculum. You probably can't even possibly use that in a single, what used to be called semester course. But the point is you have lots of resources available, everything is there, and you can pick and choose what pieces you want. And then at the end of the course, there's actually a mini game that you can run right in the classroom. So you, again, thinking about the COVID situation, it's a chance for classes to actually run the competitions within the school and not have as many issues with whether parents want students going out to tournaments this year. Professional development is available. We did have one teacher from BC actually travel to the US last year, and he thought that the Pro-D course was a great start to him being able to run the program in his school last year. Cost is $500 US per seat. The cost of a class pack is the $695, and that's to get access to everything you need to run the mini game in the classroom, as well as all of the online resources. You can see some of them pictured on the screen. They recommend that you have a robot kit per student. One option is the Rev EDU kit. They're saying up to 3 students per kit. I have seen classes run with 4 to 6 students per kit, but they do need to incorporate some of the additional resources we'll be talking about in a minute. The EDU kit is actually a very basic robot. It's everything you need for the course, but there is almost nothing else left in the kit. So if you want, some of the classrooms have asked for an upgrade kit. And so that includes things like extra sprockets and chain and gears and additional building materials. And so it's good to have 1 or 2 upgrade kits in a classroom. The startup kits you see, the startup prices you see listed here are showing like 10 robot kits per classroom. You may not need that. As I said, I do know a lot of classrooms that are actually only using 1 kit for every 4 to 6 students, and it worked out just fine last year. The ongoing cost is just the cost for the class pack every season, the $695 US. Okay, next slide. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the free resources that are available to all classrooms. This has nothing to do with whether or not you choose to use the class pack system. And so throughout FTC, we are encouraging students to learn to use CAD software with the computer-aided design. And that's so that they can design and test their robots or mechanisms. And we're going to highlight 2 of the particular versions of CAD software that we think are really useful this season. So the first one I'm going to mention is Fusion 360. It's from Autodesk. It has a free version available to students around the world. The advantage of Fusion is that you can actually, it's all of the parts and robot parts that they build are all stored in the cloud, and they can be shared within a group or a classroom. And so we have seen actual students in BC where, you know, one student is working on, you know, assembling the drive base in CAD, and another student is building an arm to go on the robot. And then they're able to virtually put the 2 pieces together and see how they fit, see if there's enough structure to support the arm. There's all kinds of ways to actually test the mechanisms using the features in the CAD software. Fusion 360 is online, it is cloud-based, but there is a part of it that has to be downloaded to a laptop or a desktop computer. So that's the one downside to Fusion 360. The second piece of CAD software I'm going to highlight is called Onshape. Again, free access for students, and it does not require anything to be downloaded. It can be used on desktops or laptops. We've seen it used on Chromebooks. I have heard of people actually opening Onshape on their cell phone just to demonstrate what a model looks like. I've not heard of anybody actually doing the design work on a cell phone, but Chrome tablets work really well. And that should be a great feature for the possibility of students who are sort of working from home part-time this year or anything like that. It makes it so easy for a group of students to work together on a single robot, even if they all have to be in different locations. There are many other pieces of CAD software out there that has free versions like SolidWorks and Autodesk, but they generally require the student have a fairly powerful laptop and download and install and set up. And we're very sensitive to the fact that, you know, students come with different backgrounds and what resources they have available. And so that's why we're highlighting the two that make it a little bit easier for them to work no matter what their what equipment they have access to in whatever location they're learning from this season. And then another thing that I'd like to talk about are some robot simulators. Again, I'm only highlighting two, but we know there are 3 or 4 other ones under development that we expect to see come online early this fall. The first one I want to mention is a blocks programming simulator. It was developed through First Canada and actually through a company in Vancouver. And so if you look at the pictures on the side of the screen, the top picture is actually showing the blocks programming language that we use in FTC to program our robots. And so the students just type in a URL and they go to the website and they have full access to what is available in the block simulator. It's not 100% of what you would have on an FTC robot, but there's a lot of features there. And we've got some sensors already available, including a color sensor as well as a distance sensor. They can use encoders, whatever they need. And then in the lower half of the screen, you can see the simulated robot. And where it currently says init, the student sort of pushes that and they can actually init and then start the robot. And then the robot will execute the code the student has just created and watch the robot run. And, you know, if it hits a wall or something, they hit stop and they can go back and correct the code and then just hit start again. And none of this requires an actual robot or for anything to be installed on their computer. So we think that will be a huge advantage to classrooms across the province, whether they're running anything else to do with FTC. It is a chance to have your students get to program robots. Synthesis is a product that is utterly amazing, but it is more for the advanced students. A student or group of students can create a CAD version of their own robot design. So it can have as many mechanisms and motors, whatever it is that they want to put into it. In the past, it has been used by both First Tech Challenge and First Robotics competition teams. And then they export the robot from Fusion 360 or Inventor into the synthesis. And there they're able to actually run autonomous programs or do teleop driving practice if that's what they want to spend what they want to be able to do. It is a really cool opportunity for the students, again, to be able to work online if they can't get to their actual robot. But again, synthesis is a product that does require a much more high-end computer to run it. So it's not going to be anywhere near as accessible as the blocks programming simulator. Okay, there we go. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about is free curriculum. So in the 2018-19 season, First was testing the idea of offering curriculum in classes. And that curriculum is still available as a PDF version. It covers topics like planning, design, mechanisms, programming, working in CAD, safety in the classroom, and there is some evaluation guidance. But it is from a couple of years ago, and it's only about, I think it's somewhere around 50 to 60 hours worth of curriculum in that original version of what has now become a class pack. But it's free, it's there. We encourage teachers to use as much or a little of it as they wish to. And hopefully you can actually even get to the point where you're running some sort of mini game challenge in your classroom. And then I think that's the last slide for me, so I'm turning things back over to Ian.
All right, so now we'll just go through some next steps on if you're interested in getting started with a class pack, how you go about doing that. So for the first part, you have to go to the firstinspires.org website and create an account and profile. Those of you that have run other teams in the past will know what I mean there, but on the front page, there's a button in the top right corner to sign up. And from your dashboard, you're able to create a class pack account, which is different than your normal team account for those that have already done that. If you want to find more instructions or more information on the class packs, you can go to firstinspires.org/classpack. And you'll find not only the instructions on how to sign up for everything, but a little more information on what's in the class packs, and the basics of everything there. And you can request more information directly from First headquarters about the class packs as well. Third, you'll order equipment necessary for those of you that are starting out without anything. I know some of you have some EV3s and NXTs floating around that you can use. And then last, we'll be reviewing the class pack guidance for COVID-19 interruptions. Just some information on how to run them best during when we're doing all the social distancing and everything that we have to be doing right now. And fifth, to just have fun, as we say with all of our programs. It's the most important thing, that all the kids are just having fun with it. And lastly, are there any questions?
I have got a question here from the chat, and it's already been answered on the chat, but I'll mention it for anyone who listens later. And it's whether the challenge pack includes a Mindstorms robot. And the answer to that is that it does not. They must be purchased separately. Does anyone else have any other questions? Oh, there we go. I can stop share for a second here. I have here some other commonly asked questions are, for example, whether it's possible for a school district to purchase a school pack to be used by multiple schools during the school year. Is that something that you've seen it done? If anyone can speak to that.
I think I can speak to that. and the answer is yes, the school district can buy a school pack and share it amongst the schools. There may be a thing that it can only be used at one school at a time. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yes, you can share. Also, when you go to the firstinspires.org site and then go to community and then to educators, and there you have the link to the class packs with all the detailed information, including on how to sign up and how to pay for it. And there is also, if you have more questions, please contact us, and there's a direct email. So any particular questions that you don't find are properly answered on the website or today, then there's something where you can ask.
Excellent, thank you. Another question is, where do we find the educators' resources?
Lucy just answered that.
Oh, she just said that.
Yes,
okay.
The educators. Yeah, I must say, like, I've spent a lot of time on these various websites looking around, and it's like a jungle, and sometimes you find something and then I can't find it again because I got there by various little links. But I find the most easy one to find is firstinspires.org, go to community, go to educators, and that's where you have the things about class packs and about professional development and curriculum and various other things as well.
Thank you so much for repeating that. How about the prices? So some are listed in US dollars. Is it possible to purchase the class packs and the required equipment from Canada?
For First Labor League, yes, you get all the equipment from Canada. And I think for FTC as well. Christine would know.
Yes, the actual class pack ordering is done online through First in the US, and that does have to be purchased using, like, it will be charged in US dollars. But there are companies, the main two companies that offer supplies to schools are Spectrum NASCO in Ontario for any of the Lego education products, and then Studica is also in Ontario, and you can purchase all kinds of robotics equipment. They're used to dealing with schools. They're used to sort of putting together classroom packages for you. They're very knowledgeable and helpful. So we can certainly recommend that. It is true that sometimes if you can order as part of a class pack, you will get discounted prices on a lot of things that might not be available if you just go and order off the website from Studica. I know that if you call them and talk to them, they can often try to give you package deals that are pretty comparable by the time you figure out exchange and shipping and everything. But you won't get that pricing if you just try to order directly on their website.
And there's one more place where you can buy educational supplies, this time for First Lego League, and that is in Quebec. When you register a class pack, it gives you the information that in Canada, buy from, unless you are in Quebec, buy from Spectrum Education in Ontario. But if you are, if you want, you can also buy your robot sets. Sorry, I have to backtrack. That is for the challenge sets. That's what you get depending on where you have registered. But if you buy just general equipment, such as the robot sets, you can also go to a Quebec site called Brault, I think, and Boutillier. And they have pretty similar prices to Spectrum, but sometimes one of them has a sale on when the other doesn't. So it's worthwhile checking both of them.
Thank you. I have another question here on the chat. Would it be easier to register as a team and do it in my class, or to use a class pack? And I guess a follow-up question to that is, what's the advantage of one over the other?
Okay, maybe that's me again. If you register a single team, well, the disadvantage, of course, is that you just have like in Challenge, and you would have up to 10 students. In Explore, you would have up to 6. So that is maybe more suited to an after-school activity. The nice things, of course, about single teams, they can go and compete in the regular competitions that we organize, and if they are lucky and if they do well, they can advance to some international competition. Now, in a class pack, you're able to do this probably within the school day for a lot more students. And what the neat thing is, in a class pack, you are not tied to our competition dates for tournaments. You can do your class pack, you can start your work with the class pack at any time during the school year that fits you. You can even do it twice during the same year with different groups of students. And of course, during COVID times, it may also be an advantage that doing a class pack, you have your in-house competition. It's not a competition where you can advance to other events, but it's still a competition and sharing of what people did and having fun and having a good time. And it avoids having to go somewhere, especially during these times when it may not be easy to get permission from parents to take the children anywhere. So there's a really good advantage right now of class packs.
So in the meetings tomorrow, where we're talking about the season launch, there will be a lot of discussion about the possibility of running remote events this season. So if we end up in a situation where we are not able to hold in-person competitions, the competitive teams will still be competing, but they will be doing it from home. We'll be using a lot of online forums, videos, different ways that we have for them to compete. So the class pack is an advantage in that you're staying within your school bubble, but you do lose the opportunity to interact with other teams around the province. And so even if we can't do that in person, that interaction with other teams is really useful. You know, we find that a lot of the students gain some of their best ideas by watching what other students have come up with. And you can do that all on YouTube, but you can also do it by meeting other teams and getting to know them and talking and developing the relationship between the students to share ideas as they go forward.
Yes, and there's one more thing to say. There are also schools that have a class pack, and then they register 1 or 2 competitive teams on top of that. So you may have some particularly eager students who would like to do that, or a different group of students. Maybe you do the class pack in one particular grade, and some kids from a different grade would like to be involved too, and they do it as an after-school thing. Anyway, even whatever you do, you're also welcome to join us when we have other events. Like, for example, we are planning a Jumpstart event for new FLL Challenge teams in October. So that may be something you might be interested in too, whether you actually have a team or not, just out of interest.
Thank you. And there's another question here, and it's about travel. So can you purchase the competition packs without an official team? So for example, if a team is, you know, up north somewhere else that doesn't have the opportunity to travel to tournaments, what's available to those teams?
You mean as equipment?
Yes. Can they purchase the competition packs without an official team?
No, you can't. You can't buy the Discover or the Explore or Challenge sets without having a team registered. That is strictly just for registered teams. But if you have several, for a class pack, yeah. But you can share resources with teams that are nearby. That would be possible, but you can't say like, I would like to just buy a challenge set or 5 challenge sets without registering teams or a class pack.
Right, so that is the correct answer for the first LEGO League programs. For First Tech Challenge, anyone anywhere in the world can go to the andymark.com website and they can order the full game set if you want to run the FTC games in a classroom or in a community setting without traveling.
And can you repeat that website? That's andymark.com?
Yes, ANDYMARK.com.
Okay. Any other questions? I guess probably not. All right. So I guess if anyone, you know, if you can think of any other questions later on, feel free to contact either Ushi or Christine or Ian, or you can go also directly to the firstbc.org website, and you can also find their contact information there, and they'll be very happy to help you with anything they can. And I will leave you with this thought that Christine referred to earlier. And it's, I thought I was building a robot, but what I didn't realize was the robot was building me. And it just really speaks to that sentiment of, wow, all that the kids get from these activities. So thank you so much for joining us. And I will stop the recording now. And this is the end of our session. Thank you.
Thank you all.